Thank you for being here tonight. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Okay, Mr. Palladino, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Sure. Trustee Dattis.
Here.
Trustee Jacko.
Here.
Trustee Tunis.
Here.
Trustee Velez.
Here.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
Vice President Benamini.
Here.
President Munoz.
Here. Thank you. I would like to...
Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to advance notice of and to attend meetings of this board, except where specifically exempted by law, at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having same advertised in the Belleville Times. Also, notice of this meeting has been mailed to the members of the Board of Education, the Borough Clerk, all elementary schools, the middle school, the high school, Hornblower Early Childhood Center, and posted on the district website. Also, this meeting is being televised via the district's YouTube and Facebook pages.
Thank you, Mr. Palladino. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes. I'd like to approve the minutes for November 21st.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Palladino, call the roll. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes.
Trustee Jacko.
Yes.
Trustee Tunis.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Munoz.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to move on to the Student Government Organization rep.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, great. So, in old news, the student government's annual blood drive was on November 30th. Students were able to have the opportunity to save lives and donated nearly 26 pints of blood, saving nearly 100 lives. This was a huge success and an important cause. On December 30th, Belleville Board of Education held their annual tree lighting where hundreds of people gathered to celebrate. It was a night filled with activities and holiday cheer. The Belleville High School wrestling team placed second overall out of 12 teams and crowned 4 champions and a runner-up, along with 3 fifth-place finishes, as well as this Saturday in the Kearney Holiday Tournament. The following places were Jacob Frere, first place at 106, Leopoldo Hans Tianki, first place at 120, Rocco Negron, first place at 132, Fernando Gallardo, first place at 165, Marius Lopez, second place at 138, Rocco Russomano, fifth place at 113, Kanani Martin, fifth place at 175, and Sterling Fernandez, fifth place at 215. Last Friday, the freshman class held a movie night at Belleville High School Auditorium that showed Home Alone. On December 8th, the Winter Band and Orchestra concert took place, and on December 14th, the choral concert performed. Students were able to perform their talents for our community, and this was a huge success. On December 16th, a member of the National Honor Society volunteered at the Hornblower Early Childhood Center. NHS students read to the children, played with them, and helped the teachers. The Hornblower Home and School Association would like to thank all of the students that participated in this event. And in new news, the student government will be hosting their annual free holiday dress down this Friday, December 23rd. Students will be able to show their holiday spirit and have a chance to win an Amazon gift card by submitting their outfits to the SGO Instagram. The best voted outfit wins a $25 Amazon gift card. The SGO will be hosting a winter dance with the senior class. Proceeds will benefit all the classes. And lastly, the annual Belleville High School Winter Pep Rally will be held indoors in the auditorium this upcoming Thursday, December 22nd. All the Belleville High School winter sports teams will be able to showcase their Belleville High School pride and commitment. That is all.
Thank you, Ms. Velez. I'd like to move on to items to be presented by the administration. Dr. Tomka.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our final board meeting of the calendar year. Want to wish everyone happy Hanukkah and happy holidays as well. We had a very incredible start to a year coming back on a learning loss, and I just wanted to real quickly talk about a presentation I did where our trustees were at, and I appreciate their support with the Essex County School Board Association. And I was asked to speak about learning loss. And what I said at that presentation, I think is important to kind of echo for our community again. And I've said it many times to our faculty and staff and administration, but learning loss and learning regression has been around forever, basically, right? We talk about it in summer. We talk about with students with IEPs. That's why we have extended school year programs, right? Those individual students with chronic absenteeism, students that are on long-term suspensions, and then finally students that go through a traumatic event, all have proven to have regression at some type of learning aptitude. COVID-19 obviously was a global regression, right? For individuals that normally probably wouldn't feel regression because they don't meet any of those categories, or, you know, their parents are able to have tutors and other things. Now everyone on a global scale felt this learning loss. So that's why we're talking about it so much, right? We're also talking about it so much because it was unprecedented, right? We didn't really know how to help certain things that were tangible that we had to deal with. For example, people getting sick, right? All around us, teachers or family members, people passing away, right? Other traumatic events, not knowing when it was going to end. And then the politicizing of all of it, right? Which no matter what side you were on, everybody had an opinion. And that's normal, right? And that's what the world is about, and that's what we need to teach our children, both sides to every story. But it was a scary time. As it was a scary time for all of us, it was even more scary for our kids. So it's true, it's real, it's a real regression. It's not something that we can kind of look at and put our arms around because the data just isn't there. The data is coming. The problem and I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking for myself, the problem that we have here is how do you jump back from this learning loss? And some students are very resilient and they're going to jump back right away, and some students aren't. So what we have done here is try to create pathways or avenues for students to build their resiliency. We've done that with outside programs. We've done that with now an indoor training facility to try to get students to socialize a little more. We've tried to work with responses to interventions more than probably any other district that I know of, and a lot of other things that our teachers, our faculty, our staff members, our support staff members, our administrators, our parents, everyone working together to try to get these kids back on the right track. But what I'm saying now as we close out this calendar year, and as now we move to different rhetoric when January comes, because we will have some different rhetoric now. Nobody, I don't care who you, I'll argue with anybody in the world, how about that? No one can put a timestamp on this, on when an individual student is going to come back from this learning loss. And why do we know that? Because everyone learns differently, right? Everyone had a loss differently. People had different types of trauma. People had parents who were setting up classrooms in their house. People had parents who didn't even know if they were, students had parents who didn't even know if they were online. Okay? everyone was dealing with it a different way. So put yourself now in the face of your educators who now are coming back from this, doing everything they can to continue moving that acumen forward and trying to catch up at the same time. So we will definitely get there, but nobody can put a time frame on it. Everyone's going to try to put a time frame on it, but I'll be the first one to say it before all the scores come out and all the data and all the philosophical, pedagogical things that they're going to try to sell people. It is virtually impossible unless you do what we're trying to do here is one by one. One of the greatest things that we did here in Belleville, and Dr. D'Elia and I were talking about it not too long ago, was our team decided to give a COGAT test right away, right? So we can kind of see what was a learning loss or what was just an actual ability of a child, right? I don't think too many places did that. When I was talking to other districts, it was just like, oh, we wanted to see what was happening. We had to get technology. We were way ahead of all of that, all right? But I can't tell you a time when we're going to be back to the numbers where we should be. But we're going to hear it. We're going to hear it in a couple of months. Look at how abysmal these numbers are. Oh, they are. Nobody's happy about that, right? So I'll get in front of it, and I'll tell you all right now. We as a team here, and hopefully you're part of that team and not against the team, we as a team here are taking this situation as we come out of this learning loss. We are taking this situation student by student. Student by student, okay? Scrubbing the data, getting into the classrooms, getting to the parents, getting interventions, okay? Trying to talk about other things that are important, trying to work on the mental health of certain students. Not all students, certain students. Certain students still are afraid to come back to school. Certain students this is their first year in school. Kindergarten, they were out. First year, they were out. First grade, they were out, right? They're having a hard time. I was just talking to a parent 2 nights ago over the weekend. I made a phone call. I said, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. She's reading, but she's not understanding. I'm like, it's very, very common in second grade level now. And why are we nervous about that? Because the data does tell us that if we have an issue with a student who cannot comprehend reading, any type of reading comprehension in third grade, it definitely correlates to their graduation in 12th grade. There's a strict correlation. So we're nervous there too. But we know this. We know this as professionals. We know this to assist our parents and our students. We're getting there. But it's going to be one student at a time. All right? So in all these numbers, I want to say this before the numbers come out because I don't know if they are. All right? But they're not going to be good. They're not going to be good for us. They're not going to be good for any other place. All right? Just know that. All right? But as we wrap up this calendar year, our teachers for the past 4 months have done nothing but work extremely hard with our administrative team, our support staff, and all these programs that we brought in to make sure that our kids continue to learn. So that's progress. So I wanted to make sure I brought that up as we closed out with this board, before this board reorganizes. I think it's important to talk about that. Again, just an incredible calendar year, an incredible start here, and we're just going to continue to keep moving for our students, continue to move towards that resiliency, and with a new organized board, work together to bring the best we can to the families in this community. Okay, so I want to call up Dr. D'Elia right now to give a brief presentation on our Safe Return to School plan. You may have read this before. You may have seen this. It has to be updated, and the board has it for approval tonight. He's going to go over some of the changes tonight. I'm going to move out of the way in a minute. He's going to go over the changes that we've made. Again, very interesting how much preparation is put into this report, but I can't go remote for a snow day still. I don't understand, right? But this is just in case we have to shut down again so we're ready. Shutting down again could possibly be the most detrimental thing to the youth of this country, okay? So we don't want to do that, and I will do everything. My promise to this board and everyone here in this community is that we will do everything we can to make sure it doesn't happen. But because we have to, because education, especially in New Jersey, is based on a lot of mandated things that we have to do and underfunded things that are mandated, we are going to now have a presentation of the updates to this plan. So Dr. D'Elia, take it away, sir.
Dr. Tomko said a lot there, and it brought back a lot of memories of 2 years of just absolute chaos in terms of opening, closing, podding, notifications, contact tracing. Going over this plan brought back a lot of personal memories, having been dubbed the COVID czar over that time and having to deal with the Sunday night publications of what to do Monday morning with absolutely no prep, except for some broadcasts that clandestinely came out at midnight. And we were supposed to go from left foot to right foot, and I have to say, as a district, resilience and flexibility are what we proved, and that was just a learning community in the community of Belleville with our educators, and it's actually something we should all be proud of. What is not going to happen tonight is nobody's going to get their hair blown back by this presentation. This is literally a 5-slide, very quick presentation on updates. As of October 7th, the Department of Health had released updated advisories for schools, and this reflects, this presentation reflects those changes. The actual lengthy plan itself for the safe return in person is online as its original form. Tonight, after board adoption, this will be placed onto the website. The objective of this is to communicate the changes and then hand the presentation back over to Dr. Tomko for public comment. So really just to go into a brief, very brief, parts of the plan itself is broken into 3 parts with subsections themselves. We'll be talking about maintaining health and safety, specifically tonight, A and E of those subsections, where we will then go to public comment. Ensuring continuity of service has not changed from the original plan, so we really will not be discussing that. In terms of the health and safety, universal and correct wearing of masks, it's important to mention right now, masks are absolutely optional for all students. In the event, and everything of this presentation is in the event, under the directive, under mandates, that could change overnight. In the event that we did have to change overnight, what we would see is the plan reflecting CDC's most recent guidelines on masking, which takes into consideration the community levels. So medium and high community levels, which we constantly contact with our local health departments. If it's determined that medium or high levels of community outbreaks are noted, we go into universal masking. So that's a new recommended change. And then the low community levels, it's completely optional. In a state that we're in now, we can consider ourselves in a low state, so that's why masking is optional. In the event that universal masking is during an outbreak, it is absolutely recommended that everyone mask. And again, that's in consultation with the local health department. And then returning from isolation, it's a change that's been pretty consistent with the updated versions of the last few months, is that returning from isolation, it's recommended that individuals mask days 6 through 10 after they return from either isolation from COVID or suspected COVID. Masking when illness occurs in school is a new recommendation, and essentially when in doubt, mask, and that also goes for the nurse's office. When students are now sent to the nurse's office, it's recommended that everyone masks in the nurse's office, which, if anyone is a parent or a teacher, you've seen the spread of not only COVID, but flu and stomach viruses and everything else this season. So the recommendation seems to be, or at least pointing to, the masking in the nurse's office. Second to that is the contact tracing. This was another big change, a big update, where the CDC and the New Jersey Department of Health were in line with one another, which was, we figured, a rare occurrence. Sometimes they were actually opposed to one another at some points. But the most recent notifications that we have received is that quarantining is not necessary for exposure. That's regardless of your vaccination status. It's not recommended that you quarantine for exposure. Rather, individuals exposed should wear a well-fitted mask and get tested. That's the new CDC Department of Health recommendation. It's also recommended that notifications are now a courtesy and should be reserved for those who remain at risk for severe illness. So the school's role in this is now changed to a contact tracing, in lieu of contact tracing, more of a cohort or class notification if there is a exposure, and that is, according to the Department of Health, optional. And finally, when COVID positive, isolate for 5 days, and until you are symptom-free or free from fever for 24 hours without any type of fever-reducing medications. Other than that, we're now into our public comment section. If you would like to record your public comment, there's a QR code that you can visit, or this will be posted on the website for everyone to have their input post-meeting. Dr. Tomko?
Thanks, sir. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Dr. D'Elia. Excellent job, as usual. Again, I think if anyone, we're obviously open to comment during the open public comment session, or unless anyone has any questions right now, Dr. D'Elia is up here. I know it's going to soak in. If you have anything, obviously there's 2 other comment sections if you wanted to bring something up. But and then, of course, the QR code or the website. I would love to take your feedback. Again, we're I don't know, we're going at it head on, so we're trying to do everything we can to keep our kids in school all the time, working on some chronic absenteeism, which also gets me upset that the districts are going to be ranked on chronic absenteeism. I don't know how you can rank a district with everything we went through hybrid and then coming off hybrid. But again, I don't make those rules, unfortunately. So before I turn it back over to President here, I just wanted to say that we have a lot of incredible things that are going to be happening this year. We have just actively started on the new horticultural center, which will be up and running hopefully by spring. We also have new programs that are coming. Of course, the indoor training facility. The board is also looking at a new academic center for excellence, which is coming. Hopefully, we'll be bringing to them within a meeting or so. So there's a lot of incredible things still happening here. We'll see some mobility of the new middle school structures. The annex will be open officially, hopefully in January, if Jeff Parapato gets his act together. No offense, Jeff, but so we'll hopefully have some people, some students and teachers in that building as well, and some interventionists and other administrators, as well as you will see the parking garage in the middle of the campus. All that will be happening moving forward. So we have a lot of exciting things happening. But I do want to say that I am proud to serve the community, but I'm absolutely proud to have worked this year with this board before it reorganizes. I think there's been some difficult decisions that had to be made as we came back from this tremendous thing that nobody thought we would be moving away from sooner than later, of course. Other situations that occurred, trying to expand the footprint of the district. So there's been just a lot of incredible things that this board has done, and I could say that I'm proud to stand near every one of them who are sitting up here on the dais. I also know that being a board member, since I've been doing this for some time, you get a bad rep a lot. You can only make half the people happy half the time. It's a lot different when you're sitting out there than when you are up here. There's just different things that you know or you don't know. So I think we talk about moving forward progress and resiliency for our kids. I think this board has shown a lot of that over this past year. So me going now into my 8th year working with 8 different organized boards. Again, we just all keep coming together for the same common interest, and it's for the people here and the kids of Belleville. So I'm very proud to be part of that. And I want to congratulate this board on an incredible calendar year. And I look forward to working with the new organized board moving forward in 10 days, I guess. Is it like 10 days maybe? Again, as I always say, progress. And Mr. President, I'll pass it back over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. D'Elia, for your presentation. I want to take a minute and just, speaking about reorg and kind of closing out this time as trustees, I just want to take some time and recognize Ralph Tunis in this moment. For me, it's an honor to be able to be in this position to kind of be able to speak on Ralph a little bit. Ralph, I mean, we took off on this journey a little while ago, and it feels like it was yesterday, but you know, we're rounding year 3, and it's really been a pleasure getting to know you at this level and seeing your commitment and the many long hours of conversations that we had just discussing items that we had on the agenda. And just kind of running through it, your passion and your drive is definitely something that I grew to respect for you. We have a plaque for you. If you don't, I'll read it. This plaque reads, "In appreciation of your service as a board member to the Belleville Board of Education, 2020-2022, presented to Ralph Tunis in recognition of inspiring and exemplary leadership and the exercise of wisdom and integrity in the performance of his duties, representing the children of Belleville on today's date, December 19th, 2022. You know, I'm going to put you on the spot. We need a speech.
Thank you. Well, let me put my hat on. 'Tis the season. So tonight is my last night. I say goodbye to all of you. It was a memorable experience. I was so welcomed by all of you, the community, with open arms. I also maintained a great relationship with our superintendent, our mayor, the council, our business administrators. Actually, we start with our business administrator, Matt Palladino, our lawyer, Jonathan Bush. Now I'm going to read off my paper because I don't want to forget anybody. So I want to thank all our staff, our teachers, paras. Let me put this back. This is really loud. Our teachers, paras, administrators, maintenance grounds, custodians, parents, and a big shout. I want to give a big shout out to Diana Kelleher. Thank you for all your hard work. Nelson, I see in the audience. Chris Lamparello, the both of you. You guys are dear friends. Chris, you really helped me so much in the beginning. You walked me through the first 3-4 meetings, and I really appreciate that. Well, I'll never forget that. And serving time with all of you means so much to me. Moving along, as a taxpayer and someone with no children, I was drawn to this position to represent the majority of people just like me. While some decisions that we made, or I made as a board trustee, which of course we all do this together, some of them are very difficult. I always wanted what's the best for our children, and that's a common goal with all of us up here, and all of you sitting out there as well. All the progress in the past 3 years that we accomplished, I have no words. It's just overwhelming. So much has happened. This school looks like a campus. Dr. Tomko, you're an amazing superintendent. The rest of you here, I say this to you, I can't wait to see what the future holds for the Board of Ed, our children of the community. And we also have in the audience, newly elect Mike Darrow. Mike, I wish you good luck. I'll be supporting you from the sidelines. I'll be sitting where you are watching you, giving you the thumbs up. With that being said, I'm going to miss everybody. Continue all the progress. Happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I will see you soon. This won't be the last of you hearing my voice. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you very much. I'd like to open up remarks by citizens. May I please have a motion?
Motion.
And a
Second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I should start with any opposed first, right? Okay, so the board, the board president will call the individuals who wish to speak in the order that they appear in the sign-in roster. The individual called to be heard shall proceed with his or her comments as briefly as the subject permits, with a maximum of 3 minutes at the podium. All inquiries must be directed at the board president. Ms. Arlene Shore? Nice to see you. Oh, we're glad to see you back.
Good evening, and Mr. Tunis, thank you for everything you've done. We appreciate it. I'd like to speak to you about something on the agenda. It was the transfer of property of a designated property known as School 1. I served on this Board of Education during the time that School 1 was under discussion. I also served on the Planning Board for Belleville when developers applied. I was on the board. According to your agenda, the board is approving the transfer of the remaining property of School 1 to the township. According to the records, and by the way, former board president, Mr. Alphonse DeMeo, was the attorney at the time. I'm trying to get this in as quickly as I can. The property was sold and recorded for $1. So you can use the term transfer, but the $1 designates the sale. So I know with attorneys, it's all about the lingo. Now, according to what I've read, the buyer is the one who is responsible for due diligence, the title search, and to see if there were any existing deeds or liens otherwise is the responsibility of the buyer. The past board acted in good faith. I don't have an issue here with current administration or with the past boards, but I will say that whether the area in question was or was not, it was not a point of discussion with the board, nor was that piece of property in any way. We simply saw the plans as planning board members. We never saw the actual defined limitations of those lots. However, the buyer, whether it was the municipality or whether it was a private contractor or developer, should have done their homework. And obviously, from the town, there was a buyer. I believe, from I've heard, that buyer has passed away, and now there's another developer or potential buyer. And what I've heard is that perhaps the developer or the town views that as an obstruction. The point is, this is not the board's obligation, nor is it the board's obligation to bail out the town if there was an error. Okay? So, what I'm trying to say is this piece of property, obviously I've heard it's a restricted deed or lot that is not buildable. It is not the board's obligation to give away the store. I think it was obscene that School One property. School One property, I was walking around with other board members with approval, trying to find a way to build a new school during that time. So all I'm going to say is, Mr. Tunis, you're right. We are to do things for the best of the children, not for the best of the developer. Do not give away another piece of the store without your determining the value of those assets. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shore. Mr. Michael Sheldon, please.
Good evening. I want to rattle off a few quick agenda items before I comment about 1030, which is the school number 1 matter. Firstly, 1013, you're spending another $3,500 for environmental logic to continue to do investigation survey work on the King's Window Store, the 259 Washington Avenue, which is the core property for this proposed shared services parking garage. You've previously, in June, you awarded an $11,999 contract to test for magnetic anomalies. In September, you appropriated another $1,350 for environmental services, and now another $3,500 for geophysical survey. Could you please elaborate what's going on here, what the stumbling blocks are? Because it seems like it's just every month there's a new set of money being awarded to the same company. Agenda item 1010. You're spending $25,000 to put up, as marked, a partition wall and a door at the high school. The vendor being given this money is presumably a lock and glass store. So my question is, two questions actually, where is this wall and door going? And even more importantly, why isn't our own building and ground crew putting up this wall and door? I mean, you've got a lock and glass store doing this. This sounds like routine work for Mr. Henry and company. 1025, you're buying new furniture for the high school main office for over $34,000. I'd like to know, how old is the current furniture and just how bad condition is it in? And lastly now, this is, 1032, you've got an architectural firm doing a submission to the DOE, and it says an application for pre-K phase 3. Could you please elaborate on exactly what pre-K phase 3 entails? And with my 1 minute left, I just want to say something briefly about the final completion of this school number 1 debacle. This sale took place at the end of December of 2011. As Ms. Shore reminded everyone, it was sold from the Board of Ed to the Town Hall for $1. For 11 years, I've been desperately trying to find out what was really going on there. Why would the Board of Ed, which involved at the time people like Joe Longo and Bill Frieda and Patty Inaugurato and company, why did they give away essentially a piece of property that's now estimated to have a value of at least $10 million? Well, after 11 years of searching, I finally got the final piece of the puzzle. And it's a story that needs to be told and will be told in very short order. It's probably the case that the statute of limitations has expired, meaning that the people involved with this who weren't acting in the Board of Ed's, the children's best interest or the taxpayers' interest, they were acting selfishly. That's why this property got transferred. But the story, when it's told, is a warning to the community that when the Board of Ed and the Town Hall act for their own personal benefit and not for the community's sake, horrible criminal things happen. So stay tuned. The full story of what actually happened behind the scenes in 2011 with school number 1 is a story that's soon going to be published and sent to the AG's office and the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey.
Thank you. Through the chair. Thank you, Mr. Sheldon, for those questions. Oh, sorry, I'm a little. Is that what it is? Okay, let's. So the 259 Washington property, as many of you are aware of any development in this area, there's a lot of environmental testing that needs to be done, especially when you're putting students on those, or some different due diligence. So when we first purchased the property, we knew that there would be an undertaking of different geophysical parameters or markers, wells that we'd have to monitor over the next 5-10 years. So this is just the continuity of that plan. You'll see probably a few more from time to time. But again, that's really with any property in this area at this point. And again, the board and administration, we're doing our due diligence. The 1010, Mr. Sheldon, we're going to get you more information on that for some of your questions on the partition piece. I think it might be just a replacement, but I don't want to answer fully on that. So we can get you some info on that. 1025 was the furniture. I mean, it's probably irreparable. The furniture. It's pretty old. I mean, okay, the guidance area, right? Sorry. So yeah. So what Mr. Palladino and I have been doing with the administrators, we've been systematically replacing furniture. The high school, middle school are getting, we're looking to present to the board a full upgrade on all desks, tables, et cetera. Again, we think it's time. That's maintenance, right? That's maintenance, is to once in a while kind of change things. So this is just part of that plan. We've refurbished a lot of the faculty lounges. So again, it's just part of the budget process. So this is one of the things that you see there. Again, I think it's not anything crazy. The partition, Mr. Palladino just reminded me that those partitions are, I knew they were down for the guidance area because we are redeveloping that guidance area down there. So some of that work, I think, is just a little bit overscale for what our maintenance department can do. So we went out for that. And then I will, the architect submission for DOE was the phase 3 of the preschool HEC building, and there are specific plans and submissions that have to go into the Department of Education. As you all know, the Department of Education, all this is a little behind still because of COVID and everything closing down. So that's now payment for the architects to kind of put all those in for our approvals, which we kind of close that whole area out now with that. So.
So before I close the, all right. So before I close remarks by citizens, I would like to elaborate a little bit more on our findings. I guess we've been dealing with this for almost 2 years now. Everything with school number 1. So this isn't something that just came up out of nowhere. It's just something that we've been dealing with for a good amount of time now. So I'd like for you to just enlighten the community, I guess, to what we've been dealing with to this point, with the discussions that we've had, the discovery that we've had, just to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yes, thank you. Just a few points, and this is not to sway the board in any way. Regardless, it's their decision, it's their vote, and this is not of any conversations that we've had based on attorney-client privilege. What I'm going to just talk about are 2 or 3 facts right now that I think everyone in the community needs to hear, so that either way any of these board members vote, or what the administration decides to do, or with the municipality, how the municipality intends to carry itself, we should know the facts of school number 1 property, okay? And again, it's no disrespect to anybody. I was not here when this happened. This was coined as the by specific state auditors as the worst mistake in Belleville history. Okay, so we understand that. Okay, that was in part of the state audit. Could this property have helped us stay out of deficit? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not a fortune teller, but I think the worth of that property probably could have helped the board financially. I think it's important to note that regardless of who in the township was here at the time or who wasn't, what occurred, occurred. And we cannot go back and change that, okay? Regardless of how this board votes, there is no way that that property will become the board's again. Right now, for those of you who may have missed the great presentation last meeting by the town attorney, or haven't really been listening over the past 17 months, because I think it's 17 months now that we've been dealing with this. What happened was in the record, or in the recording of the deed, there were numbers that were either interchanged, not recorded properly, whatever it was. Technically, there is a small slither, like a pizza slice basically, of land that I guess technically the board still controls, okay? That's it. Not the whole property, it's just that one slither of land. The fact is this, and it's documented, it's on a resolution, it's on a purchase order. The board in good faith sold the exact block and the exact lot of that property, also known as School 1, to the township for $1. The resolution and the purchase order or the invoice, or however you want to call it, didn't say block so-and-so and lot so-and-so minus the pizza slice. Didn't say that. So in good faith, this board at the time, no one sitting up here, this board at the time, regardless of the reason why it occurred, and really for all intent purposes, it doesn't matter. Everything is relevant at the time, right? Was, in effect, selling that entire property in good faith to the municipality for $1. Now, we can sit here as a board, we can sit here as a community and say it was the worst decision ever. But that is called Monday morning quarterbacking, for those of you who follow sports, right? Everybody can sit here and say, okay. So the issue is this moving forward. There are developers involved. There are developers that had an expectation of whatever the planning board decided with these developers, whatever was happening, there was an expectation that these things were occurring. So the board is faced with this decision to basically now, and I think the transfer versus sale is to transfer the remaining piece through the deed by just basically giving the okay to correct the deed to the right numbers. Yes, someone made a mistake. I've learned so much about title companies now that I don't even know if the title company actually was responsible for this because it was a clerical error. Again, what I've been, and again, this is through attorneys, this is through the state, okay? Whenever, and I don't think this happened the first time, but whenever a Board of Education transfers or sells property, it has to get state approval, okay? That took us a while. For those individuals who don't believe that, who may be watching right now, that did take me a while, okay? Regardless of what anybody believes, all right? After its due diligence, after us receiving an appraisal on the property, all these things that we had to do, the state then concurred with Mr. Palladino and myself, and that is why it was my recommendation moving forward, after discussing with the attorney, that this was, in effect, done to sell that entire piece, known as School 1, with a block and with a lot. So that's factual. Now, regardless of whether the board here wants to take my recommendation or not, that's in and of itself, they represent you. But I think I would be remiss, and I think the board would be remiss if we didn't talk about, as everybody has their own ideas of what happened, I'm sure all those things happen. Was it the worst mistake in Belleville history? Probably. I don't know. Again, this board right now is faced with the fact that we have a landlocked piece of property that we're responsible for, I guess, which we can do nothing with. And if we were to get into some type of litigation, we don't really know where our chances would be, but we do know that it would cost you, the taxpayer, a lot of extra money to argue it. So those are the facts. So again, it's been very difficult and very trying. And again, I do not envy these board members up here for making this decision tonight. But I will say this, if I may, Mr. President. Regardless of their decision, whether it's a yes or a no or an abstain, they all, every single one of them up here has done their own due diligence, requesting research, requesting documentation, requesting opinions, requesting appraisals. I think I'm just going to be a real estate agent, I think, because all these things that this board has done is due diligence. So I'm extremely proud of the work that this board put in for such a blatant error that occurred by really nobody in the public domain here. It was a company, basically. So unfortunately, as some individual said, we are faced with either righting this wrong and moving forward and worrying about some of these other things that we're talking about, learning loss, moving forward, progress, or just continuing to argue about something that my personal or expert opinion was the board intended to give that entire property. Not one person has said to me, oh no, we wanted that piece of, for ourselves. I haven't seen, heard, saw a note about it or anything. So that's factual. So that's all I wanted to put out there. I appreciate a few minutes before you guys do vote on this, regardless of how the vote goes.
Can I have a motion to close remarks by citizens, please?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to move on to personnel. Can I have a motion on 7-1 to 7-3-7?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing done. Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes.
Trustee Jacko.
Yes to all, but I take no part in 7.17 and 7.20.
Trustee Tunis.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes, with the exception of 7.30.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Munoz.
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to curriculum and instruction. Can I have a motion on 8-1, please?
Motion. Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes.
Trustee Jacko.
Yes.
Trustee Tunis.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Munoz.
Yes, thank you. We're going to move on to board action, board policy. Motion. Can I have a motion on 9-1 to 9-15, please?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes to all with the exception of 914.
Trustee Jacko.
Yes to all except 9.1, I take no part, and 9.13.
Excuse me for 1 second. Ms. Dattis, are you abstaining on 914 or voting no?
I am voting no.
Okay. And Ms. Jacko, 9-1 you're abstaining, and 9-1-3 you're abstaining or voting no?
Abstaining.
Okay. Just checking. Trustee Tunis.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Munoz.
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to purchasing and business services. We will be pulling 10-2 and 10-22. We will also be pulling 10-30 to be voted on separately. So can I have a motion on 10-1 and 1034 with those exceptions?
Motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussions, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes.
Trustee Jacko.
Yes.
Trustee Tunis.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Munoz.
Yes.
I think we'll be.
And we're moving on to 1030. Is there any discussion on 1030?
Yes.
I'm sorry, who said yes?
Me.
Erica, yes, Ms. Chaco.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President. This whole situation with the School One property was alarming when I was sitting out there in the public 11 years ago. And now it has somehow come back. How ironic that life offers us the opportunity to right a past wrong. I previously requested proof of sale and sale transactions of the School One property, allegedly. The alleged sale, sorry. Some paperwork and then the remaining paperwork was presented to me, which had inconsistent information, and some documents did not appear to be complete. I don't know if some of you know, some of you might. I did attend Seton Hall, and I do have a BA degree in criminal justice and English. And one of the opportunities that I had in my life was to be a fraud investigator for 5 years, and I reached supervisor capacity 2 years in my 20s. I don't know if some of you believe or don't believe in coincidences, but all I can say is that I will not waste what knowledge I gained there, nor the money that I paid for my tuition there. So I reviewed these documents. I recall on September 19, 2022, our superintendent, Dr. Tomko, called this School One alleged sale request of these documents a clerical error. I disagree because of my 5 years expertise in fraud investigations. But obviously, I hope that no matter what happens today, because I don't think this is going to go away, that the current trustees or the future trustees invest in the proper investigators or land use attorneys to truly know that they have the actual facts of this alleged school sale. And I'm not trying to say that anyone up here is hiding anything. I think it's obvious. Somebody hid something at some point. I've lived in Belleville 32 years, and when I was sitting out there and saw this going on, it was one of the reasons I ran for the Board of Education, because I did believe our trustees back then were not serving the purpose, which is to serve our community and our children, and did not have their best interest in mind, or at least not all the time. So it's sad that we are faced with this decision because, as I stated, and Dr. Tomko also stated, perhaps it's a time where we can right a wrong. And I think it's not a coincidence that I am up here 11 years later. So that's all I have to say about that.
Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. President.
All right.
If I may. Thank you. There has been much conversation about this topic, and for good reason. For months now, the board has been consumed with this issue, and for years, our community has too. And I have a unique perspective on this issue because I see this not only as a board trustee, but as someone who grew up during the era when previous boards were in office, and those previous boards did not make the best decisions for the children of Belleville. I grew up understanding that there were some very shady and very improper dealings that had occurred on this board, the previous boards. And in looking at all this information, and after hours upon hours of seeking information and hearing different expertise and different opinions, because I think the best route to coming to a conclusion is through objectivity, not looking at this from one narrow lens. I do feel very uncomfortable at this current stage to vote in the affirmative to transfer this property to the township. And I think right now the best means of action is to, again, look at this further, and in the coming months, look at how this board and our partners in the township can come to a mutually benevolent agreement, a good deal for everyone, and come and work together. I think this course of action is best. I think everybody up here has worked so hard and really has done their homework. From either you're a yes vote, no vote, abstain, whatever you're going to be, I think that everyone up here has the right intentions and has really done their homework. And I think everybody, it's not easy to make this kind of decision. And I just, again, this is the people's property. We have to really look at this and with such a delicate lens. And again, I think this is a decision that right now, I think the board should take and make a no, and then in the future be open to making a yes decision. So at the moment, I am a no on this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, I actually would like to say a couple things about this. Oh, go ahead. No, please.
Yes, I'll speak on the School One property because I too sat in the audience that evening 11 years ago. As I've sat in the audience for many Board of Ed meetings, because it wasn't only 1 or 2 meetings that I showed up for, I've really been an involved parent and a community member for at least 20 years attending Board of Ed meetings and council meetings. And School One was not remembered for its true, beautiful, historic value. It was looked at as a building in disrepair. People came and complained about it on both ends. Windows were broken. The property was in disrepair. It was unkept. It wasn't tidy. It was very unfortunate, and I think the board at the time just got to the point that they did not want that property anymore because it became an eyesore. That's not how I valued that building or property. I've always felt that real estate is important and you hold on to it. And I think everyone out there would disagree with something like that. So it is very sad that this vote is being put on 7 people who were not around. Most of them don't remember, other than I could truly say Erica and I were here, and a few of you in the audience, whom I know. So it's very challenging this evening to make this vote, but I think everyone is prepared to move forward with this and just see what the outcome will be. That's just all I wanted to say about that beautiful historic building that we now only have a photograph of. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I just want to echo Gabby's words. Gabby, I agree with you 100%. Everything you just said is accurate, true. I've been living in Belleville. I'm 54 years old. That every time I go down to go over the bridge and look at that building, it was never, even the property, weeds, trees, shrubs, it was a mess. It was a sore eye, 100%. So I agree with you. And I'm going to miss you when I leave, by the way. So.
Any other discussion? Okay, so I do want to add my I guess my 2 cents for what it's worth. I am fortunate enough to look at this from a different scope because I am a realtor. That is my, that's my profession. It's what I've been doing for many years, and I love the fact that I get to do what I do. So I'm able to look at this from a different scope, and I look at this as someone representing both a buyer, both an agent, both a buyer and a seller, excuse me, and knowing the perspective of both. I can't sit here and talk about the board at that time because obviously, you know, at that time, 2011, I think I was just a new parent of 2 kids, 1 toddler, so I was a little bit out of sorts. But I do remember at that time, even not being in the profession that I'm in today, that I thought that was not the best decision that was made. But with that said, I can't speak to that board because, you know, at that time, you know, it's easy to compare the board at that time to the board that we have today. And at the board that we have today, we're fortunate enough to have certain opportunities where if we had a property like that, I think we would know exactly what to do with it. And we would be able to have the means to figure out how to do that. So I'm not going to sit here and knock the board that was here at that time because I'm sure they made the best decision that they could with what was in front of them at that time. But I will say that I also can't sit here and make a decision and not make a decision on this because the basis of what we do here is make decisions on the facts that we have presented to us and given to us. We've been dealing with this for how many months now? 17 months we've been dealing with this. This isn't something that is happening overnight. This is something that we had multiple attorneys involved. We had 3 attorneys involved in this side, on our side, their side, and one that oversaw this whole process. We've had recommendations from the state, Department of Education. We've had recommendations from our superintendent. We've looked at this under so many different scopes, and the reality is that what was done was done. Obviously, we have multiple sources proving that the full intent was to transfer over the full School 1 property, and that's how it was described. With that said, I feel and I recognize my responsibility to vote on this and make a decision on this based on the information that I have available, because if I was to be questioned on the decision that I'm going to make today and any other decision that I make or that any trustee makes in the future, we're presented with all the information. And we're given everything that is needed in order for us to make an educated decision. So I don't feel like we fell short of that, especially since we've had so many, over a year and a half of having to deal with this. But I will say that you know, our job is not to come up here and just do what we want to do because we feel like it's going to appease certain individual. At the end of the day, I'd rather go out there and vote on something knowing that I have all the facts supporting me on why I made that decision than not having those facts behind me. So for that reason, once we vote, you'll know my position on that. But I just don't want the message to go out there that we're not informed or that we don't know. We have multiple professionals that have looked at this, and they've all come to us individually with their own assessment. So what I would like to ask, if it's possible, to add to this is any of the costs that we've incurred in trying to resolve this, if there's a way that we can recoup those funds. Any other discussions? Hearing none, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
I don't know if we had a motion. Did we have a motion?
We did.
Oh, we did, okay, I'm sorry. All right, trustee.
Motion and we had
Okay. Trustee Dattis.
Okay, you want me to do it again?
Maybe just ask, just because I hooked this up.
I don't think you did.
So just to be clear, I just want to make sure, who made the motion on this, just so we can be clear?
I made the motion.
You made the motion. Who was the second? Just for Mr.
Second.
Pellegrino's records. There was a second? Okay, so motion by Mr. Muniz.
No.
Second.
For second was Mr.
Velez.
Velez, okay. And then there was a discussion?
And then we had discussion.
Right, okay, so right, so then now there's discussion, and now the question's being called.
Yes, so would you like me to do that process again?
Where?
No, I just want to clarify, because I want to make sure this is an important vote, and
Yes.
obviously want to make sure it's done right.
Okay, so, good? All right, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Thank you. Trustee Dattis.
No.
Trustee Jacko.
No.
Trustee Tunis.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
No.
Trustee Williams.
No.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Munoz.
Yes.
Okay. Doesn't pass.
Okay, can I have a motion on items, where are we at? Approval of bills and finance, motion on 11-1 to, pardon me, 11-1 to 11-12, please.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Palladino, please call the roll.
Trustee Dattis.
Yes to all with the exception of check number 086382. I abstain.
086382, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Trustee Jacko.
Yes to all, except 11.8, I take no part.
Trustee Tunis.
Yes.
Trustee Velez.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Vice President Benamini.
Yes.
President Munoz.
Yes, thank you. Can I have a motion to open remarks by citizens, please?
Motion.
Second.
Is there, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I, the board president, will call the individuals who wish to speak in the order that they appear on the sign-in roster. The individual called to be heard shall proceed with his or her comments as briefly as the subject permits, with a maximum of 5 minutes at the podium. All inquiries must be directed at the board president, Mr. Michael Sheldon.
I'd like to begin by personally thanking trustees Ms. Dattis, Ms. Jocko, Ms. Williams, Mr. Velez for doing the right thing and voting no on 1030. It's been said earlier this evening that mistakes were made with the sale of school number 1. As you're going to soon learn, and you probably already know based on some of the comments, you've been privy to some documents which I guess are still confidential. These are the legal documents because I'd like to see them as well if they're operable. I'll make the request anyway and see how many of them are denied, but I'll go through the motions for that. The demise of school number 1 was not an accident. If you had been attending every council meeting, Board of Ed meeting, planning board meeting, and zoning board meeting for the last 15 years, as I've done, you would have learned over and over again, mostly at the hands of Mr. Frantantoni, that school number 1 was essentially willful, intentional negligence. That building was deliberately set up to be destroyed. In fact, you go back to the record, you hear what Mr. Frantantoni had to say. He repeatedly talked about how the hatch in the roof was left open so that all of the elements could come in, all the water, the snow, animals, everything. This was not an accidental demise of school number 1. It was intentional. And if you look back at the history, once school number 1 was sold to the town hall, the first plan for the redevelopment of that block was to put up somewhere between 18 and 20 townhouses, right? I'm not going to say anything more because, God, I have enough lawsuits and threats of lawsuits each and every week. But as the saying goes, follow the money. And as all of you and everyone in this community are going to soon learn, when you follow the money, you're going to know exactly what the master plan was and who was involved. And unfortunately, some of the same people that were lurking in the shadows 11 years ago are still here. But more about that in the near future. Moving on to somewhat more serene matters. Board docs has now been used by the board since the beginning of 2018. It's 5 years now. When board docs first got rolled out, I was on the board, and there was a lot of discussion about using board docs to backdate, to start to incorporate some of the previous year agendas to make them searchable and readily accessible. I had advocated that that beginning point should be the 2015-16 academic year, the first full year that Dr. Tomko was superintendent. I checked around some of the other districts, like Nutley. They have their agendas in place going back until the beginning of time. Nutley has everything in place since 1960 forward. In fact, they also have a lot of other stuff where available. I can go back and get their agendas from the year 1901 if you're so inclined. I would really like to see the board finally make the effort to at least go back to 2015, if not earlier. Over the weekend, I put in an OPA request to get the agendas and minutes for the calendar years 2010, 2012. So this means that Mr. Palladino and company are going to have to waste all this time and energy. These things were already in place. You know, I wouldn't have to make these requests. Some of you may have noted or read, if you're a subscriber to the New York Times, a week ago they had a really interesting article entitled "Thousands of Teens Are Being Pushed into Military Junior ROTC Programs." As I understand it, these programs are supposed to be voluntary, but what is being found is that, especially in communities, low-income communities, where there are a disproportionate number of minorities, that the programs are no longer voluntary, that students are being forced into ROTC programs whether they want to or not. So my question is here in Belleville, we now have an ROTC program. Is it still completely voluntary? And let's see. I only have 20 seconds left. I wanted to talk about the garage going up eventually on Washington Avenue next to the middle school, but since I'm down to less than 10 seconds, I guess that's going to have to wait till next year. So in the meantime, I'll just wish everyone a Merry Kwanzaa. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheldon. May I have a motion to close remarks by citizens, please?
Motion.
Second.
Is there all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Okay. So I'd like to move on to board reports. Let's start from the top of the table, Mr. Velez.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to give an athletics committee update. We haven't had one in a while. This Saturday was amazing. You know, for me personally, I'm 100% Belleville through and through wrestling, and I support all of our sports, but having been the manager for the team, it really was something to go back to the Kearney wrestling tournament. Haven't been in 4 years since I was the high school manager. And we tore down the house. We got over 5 placements on the podium for Belleville High School. Our name was everywhere. Everyone was asking, wow, Belleville, is Belleville back? And yes, we are. Our athletic facilities, our athletic teams, our wrestling team, people are looking at our athletic facilities and our programs and are saying, oh my God, this is Belleville? It is. We are investing in the right things at the right time. We are making the effort. We are investing in our children, and it's showing. It is showing. And I am just so proud of everything that our wrestling team and just all of our athletes have been able to achieve since this board and a few boards have really invested in the athletic program here at Belleville. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Jacob Ferrer, Leo Tianchi, Rocco Naran, Fernando Collado, and Mattia Lopez for their awards. And Belleville High School wrestling team placed 2nd overall at the tournament with tens of schools. We had schools ranging from Milburn to Demarest to Bloomfield. We had everybody, and we placed 2nd. We were in the top 3. I think that's amazing. That's really something to say, wow, we are doing great. And I am so proud and so happy. Moving forward, I just want to comment on a few things. First, Ralph, I'm going to miss you. You have been such a pleasure on this board. You've been such a gentleman. You have been such an inspiration to newer trustees like myself. You have done an outstanding job in your 3 years. I am really sad to see you go, and I hope that you keep that promise. I hope to see you in those seats in the audience very soon. All right, because you have an important voice, and you've done just such great things. I'm really sad to see you go, and I look forward to seeing everything you do in the future. So thank you so much for running for the board and making that commitment to our school district for 3 whole years. Thank you. I also want to talk about the new year. You know, we're going to be having a new board. We have our trustee-elect here, Mr. Darrow, and, you know, we're going to welcome him like we have everyone, and it's going to be a great time, as it always is in January. You know, we're going to have everybody come up here, and really just, it symbolizes the start of something new, and I think there's a lot that will be gained through his experience, and just for all of us, for gaining another year, and really looking at things in a new way, and I think it's going to be great. And I just also wanted to give a shout out to Luis Muniz for his year as president. I think he's done a great job. I think we've seen a lot of improvements when it comes to our real estate and just the physical aspect of our schools. I mean, just look at the indoor athletic facility. I mean, this was a huge success, and I am so proud of that. So thank you all so much for another great year, and I look forward to the new year. Thank you all so much. Have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Velez, and appreciate your enthusiasm with all that. I'm right there with you. Ms. Jocko?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank Ms. Lombardi and the chorus for delighting us with the holiday music. I want to say welcome to our new hires, and thank you to all employees, teachers, admins, custodians, our BA, and superintendent for all their hard work. Congratulations to all athletes and coaches. Thank you for representing us well. Ralph, I wish you the best wherever you are. Change is constant, and it is a pleasure to know Mike will be a great addition. Today marks 6 months that my sister is deceased, and as the holidays approach, it is kind of hard, to say the least. But I hope that everybody takes the time to enjoy with their families and friends. And please don't forget that life is short, so please enjoy it. And happy holidays and a happy new year.
Thank you, Ms. Jocko. Mr. Tunis?
I'd like to wish everybody once again a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I know I spoke earlier. It was just a great run for 3 years, and being up here on the dais with all of the trustees up here and in the past, and they're sitting outside. Well, Nelson left, but Chris is still there. Thank you, Dr. Tomko, getting us through the toughest time ever in history, I guess, in my lifetime with COVID. All the teachers, I see all the principals out here as well. Just want to thank everybody again and wish you all the best. Thank you. And all the kind words everybody's been saying about me means a lot to me. I feel the love. I'm feeling the love. Thank you.
But you haven't cried yet. Ms. Status?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming and those watching at home. First, I would like to speak a little bit on the School One property. I know I didn't say anything before. It makes me angry that we are in this position, and we, every day, have hard decisions to make behind the scenes, and this was one of them. And I could just say that I go with my gut, and I make the best decision I feel I can with the information I have. So that's my thought on that. Moving on to happier things. Our Christmas tree lighting was a huge success, a great event for anyone who had the opportunity to come out to that. Ralph. It has been an absolute pleasure working with you. I don't know what I'm going to do without you sitting here. Can we still have him sit here next to me? Can we do that? No, but I'm an honor to call you a friend, and you will be deeply missed. You know that. I'm rounding out my first year sitting up here, and I want to thank everybody up here for welcoming me and teaching me the ropes and just being so supportive of me. Thank you, everyone. Everyone else have a safe and happy holiday. Good night.
Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to everyone who participated and helped to make our tree lighting event such a success. The fun-filled activities, food trucks, train rides, and fantastic music from our students was such a wonderful treat. Again, congratulations to Trustee-elect Michael Darrow. I'm looking forward to working with you. Next, I'd like to formally say farewell to our dear Trustee Ralph Tunes. It's indeed been a pleasure working with you this past year. Thank you for your time, service, and dedication to the students of Belleville Public Schools. Lastly, let us remember the importance of social-emotional learning. Remember to support and uplift each other during this holiday season. Remember to help those who are less fortunate and be a light in dark places. Please check on your loved ones, neighbors, and even your strong friends during this holiday season and afterwards. You never know how much a kind word or gesture could help someone. Everyone enjoy this winter break and have a happy and healthy holiday season and New Year. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Trustee Williams. Vice President Benammini.
Yep, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Yes, what a wonderful winter wonderland tree lighting it was outside on the property. Kudos to the Board of Education, Diane Kelleher, working with the township. You put together a wonderful event. I had a great time, and it looked like everyone that attended did also. I also attended the community open night at the indoor training facility. I walked around the track. I did a little bit on the treadmill. It is a fantastic gym. Very, very wonderful. I got a little bit of a workout after eating some sweets. So I will attend a few more of those free open nights. Well, not free because I'm a taxpayer, right? That's right. So I don't want to see the rest of you there because, you know, I was all by myself thinking people were going to come and you guys didn't come, but I had a great time and I will go again. In the spirit of giving, let's acknowledge all of the collections that have been going on. The food collections, the winter coat drive, the Toys for Tots. This year, more than ever, everyone is in the spirit of giving, and I think we all know why. So kudos to all of the groups that have been putting together collections, and they're going to make a lot of people very happy. I do want to wish everyone a happy holidays, all our students, the staff, the community. Hope you all relax during winter break and have a happy new year. And Ralph. So, Ralph, I'm going to miss you. Ralph has been an asset to this board for so many reasons. You know, you always want to tell a little bit about the board member and kind of how they fit in up here. Ralph is a lifelong resident of Belleville, a graduate, a homeowner, and a taxpayer. So he has a lot of value. He's an asset. He also interacts with parents and students because in his side business, he's a DJ. So he's at many of the schools, and he is, if you've ever seen or heard Ralph out as a DJ, he is the best. I mean, he really, really is. So Ralph, you really were an advocate for so many. You're a well-informed board member. You interact with community. It defined you as a true person who cares deeply about this community and this school system. So I think, Ralph, you will sorely be missed, especially by me, and we do hope to see you sitting right in the middle of this auditorium next year. And a welcome to you, Mr. Darrow. We will see you in the new year. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you, Gabby.
Ms. Jody Velez.
Good evening, everyone. I would also like to shout out the computer club at Belleville High School that went to Keene University on December 9th, where the students saw how a college class works. And field trips like this are important so high school students can see a part of the college experience. And I would also like to shout out the members of the Heroes and Cool Kids Club who went to Belleville Middle School on December 7th and 8th. They were able to mentor the 7th grade students and share with the students the resources that they have learned through their mentoring trainings. In the spirit of giving, there is also a life-changing opportunity for all high school students to participate in that opens on January 1st. This organization is called Grip Tape and provides a $500 grant for students to pursue something they have always wanted to do in 10 weeks. All they have to do is answer 4 questions on the griptape.org website on what they want to pursue. Whether this is starting a small business, crochet, making a podcast, baking, engineering, or filmmaking, I encourage everyone to apply for this life-changing opportunity so they can learn more about themselves. Grip Tape fosters creativity and helps teenagers by providing support. My challenge was photography, and I participated in this during the summer of 2022. This enhanced my life and made me learn more about myself and express myself through photography. I am a firm believer that everyone in Belleville has a passion that they want to pursue. Channel that passion. Make it come to life. There is a slideshow presentation I made explaining more about Grip Tape and will be sent to all the guidance counselors from grades 9 through 12 to share with their students. If any teacher or student that's watching this or here in the crowd would like the slideshow, or if a student needs assistance, please feel free to email me or message me. And I hope that all staff and students take some time to relax during the holiday break. I know some seniors are doing their supplements right now for colleges. Remember that you got this. Please relax after you're done with your supplements. And as 2022 wraps up, I would like to thank the Board of Education for everything they have done in the community and for, once again, welcoming me with open arms. Let's see where the new year takes us, and thank you and have a wonderful break.
Thank you, Ms. Velez. Given that it's the end of the year, and I know everyone really wants to wish the best wishes for everybody, I want to give a chance to the rest of our administration here, and Dr. Tomko and our attorney, Mr. Bush, to be able to say a couple things.
Yeah, just real quick, and I don't get this opportunity. I think it says something about this community, but it's really wonderful that this board has had me as part of your team, your family for, it's been about, I think about 4 years now, maybe 5 years, which is, I don't know, I'm sure somebody knows the exact date, but it's all a blur. But this is a great town, and it's a great community, and I'm deeply appreciative of the fact that you have made me part of your family, and I value this relationship, and I value you know, the people of this community, because I feel in many ways like I'm a Bellevillian here, an adopted one, but one nonetheless. So thank you, everybody, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. And Ralph, I'm sure I'll see you on that side, as we have many other board members. I see Nelson, or I saw Nelson and Chris and Mike, obviously, here, former board members. But thank you to all, and Happy New Year. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Mr. Palladino?
I could go a long way. I just want to thank you guys. You know, almost 6 years ago, I came here under certain circumstances. That board gave me an opportunity to set that aside and prove myself and show that you know, I know what I'm doing. And working hand in hand with the gentleman to my right has been a fun, wild, and interesting and learning experience, to say the least. And I look forward to many more years of that, especially as we enter 23. But, you know, past boards and this current board and future boards, what was that word you said, Jonathan? Bellevillian? I think you guys have all done the same with myself. Taking a kid from Teaneck, who lives in Wayne at the moment, and I think I'm a little bit of a Bellevillian myself. So thank you, and I look forward to 23.
Yeah.
That's right.
Dr. Tomko?
Oh, yeah. I mean, thank you. I just, first of all, rule number one is to never give Matt an open mic. That's number one. So we broke that rule already, so we got to work on that, obviously. Everybody's going to rewind that one part of the clip from the film. I mean, I think I said enough before, but I didn't get a chance to say anything about Ralph. So I remember Ralph growing up right across the river and spending some time here in Belleville. He doesn't remember me, which is probably a good thing. But I honestly can say that, and I love the opportunity to talk about board members who have left here. And you know, I always say to some of the board members here, like, we disagree often, right? Because that's how you get things accomplished. But it doesn't mean at the end of the night we all don't leave here knowing that we're one team, and you know, each one of these individuals up here represent 1/7 of the community, and that's how I look at it. And I respect every one of them up here. But Ralph is really an extremely genuine person, and anybody who has talked to him for more than 5 minutes knows that. I mean, I don't know if you know, it's an understatement of wearing your heart on your sleeve. I think that's just something that everybody can say that makes you you, and I don't think you'll ever change. But I think you've definitely brought that here to this community in the forefront as a leader, and you will be sorely missed. But you know, again. You know, you never know, right? I say it to all the board members. But I think, again, I appreciate your feedback at times, your feed forward, you know, forward thinking, your pulse on the community. Always tell me when someone was mad while you were in your bus or whatever, getting those calls. So you will be missed. But thank you very much for being that pulse of the community. And obviously, if you need anything, you let me know.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
That's terrific. And I guess I'll round this off. I'll try to make it short. First, I kind of want to echo a lot of what Frank said. I appreciate the feedback that I'm getting from the community. I get a lot of messages through our Better Belleville page, a lot of messages through Instagram, a lot of friends. You know, I've been, you know, I graduated out of high school here. I've been a lot of the community is actually people that I went to school with, and they know me on a personal level, and I don't know if that's good or bad, because that also gives them a green light to call, send me a message or call me and beat me up about things that they don't agree with. But you know, they also make a point to give us the positive feedback and the things that they do like. So I want to thank them. You know, one of the comments that one of them made to me, which I really appreciated, was that he was out that night. Him and his wife were home, and you know, they wanted to go out. They didn't have anything to do, and they were like, you know what? But I don't feel like going out and spending money. You know, a family of four, it's good money to spend on a quick night out. So they were like, they called me just to, you know, they sent me a picture, and they were just grateful that they had somewhere local to go, where the kids were able to run around, and where him and his wife were able to just have a moment of like breathing room where they can watch their kids at a distance. And that was a perspective that I should have thought about, but I really didn't. And it's hard to think about every angle when you're going 100 miles an hour in a direction. But that fact that he took that moment to give me that feedback is pretty incredible. So I just want to commend everyone at the training facility, and I want to commend everyone that has had a part in this and that continues to have a part in this. And I hope that we can, I know we're continuing to expand on the training facility. We're learning right along with you on what the best practices are, and we'll continue to open that up to everyone as much as possible. And our kids are not using it for specific sports, but I am very excited about that training facility, and appreciate the fact that it's become such a positive thing for the community. Looking out into the audience, I saw Ms. Shanklin. I just wanted to welcome you back. It's great to see you. And I couldn't let the night go without shouting you out real quick and just letting you know that we're glad you're back.
Back to work
right away.
Right away back to work.
Jump right into the deep end. Yeah, I also want to congratulate Dr. Tomko. I don't know if many of you know, but Dr. Tomko was one of 23 that was appointed to the governor's task force to address staff shortage in the state of New Jersey. That's very empowering for a community to know that we have someone in the top leadership role in this town, in this district, and you're there representing us, and wearing your Belleville blues, and just really putting our best interests forward. You know, just highlighting our town and the things that we're able to do here. I appreciate you being forward thinking. I appreciate everything that you do for us, and congratulations. Mr. Tunis, bro, you're right.
Well, I'm gonna have a piece of chocolate while you're talking about it. Okay.
No, I'm not gonna go. Everyone already said all the great things about you. I don't think I could add to it. You know, I love you, bro. I will always be here for you. Anything, anytime, anywhere. You know, you're a great guy, and like Dr. Tomko said, know you 5 minutes. You know what you're about. You're always, you know, you say how it is. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate all the hard work that you did here as a trustee. And, you know, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and thank you very much. Buckle up. Can I have a motion to close?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?